Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us on our last alumni speaker event of the year. We have Christine here with us, who graduated in 2014 from our wonderful MBA program, and she will be discussing work-life balance today. She is going to have more of a free-form discussion. So if at any point you want to join in, please feel free to unmute yourself, turn your camera on, and join in, because that's when we have the best engagement. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Christine.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for that introduction. Again, my name is Christine Flores, and I'm going to be talking about work-life balance. I was going to start off with just a little bit of my background and why work-life balance is important to me. And then we're just going to go over some topics about what you feel work-life balance is, what it's not, and how you can change your behaviors to promote more of a work-life balance for yourself. So a little bit about my background. I'm a planning manager at Southern California Edison. I've been there for 9 years. I'm a mom and I have 2 little boys. And so when I graduated high school, I didn't go straight to college. I went straight into the workforce because I wanted to make money. And so in order to make money, I had to work a lot of hours, and I just didn't like that lifestyle as far as not having much of a work-life balance. I worked in the real estate industry, which is a great career for a lot of people. But for me, I was working a lot of weekends, working a lot of holidays. So I wanted to get more of a Monday through Friday type job, holidays off, paid vacations. And so when I started to apply for some of the positions that I wanted to be compensated how I was working at the mortgage company, I wasn't able to get hired because I didn't have my degree. So when I was 23, I went back to school, got my bachelor's and master's from Cal State San Bernardino. I love that school, and was able to get my degrees. And that's how I was able to get my job at Edison. My degree wasn't required, but with such the large candidate pool of people trying to get into the company, having my MBA really allowed me to stand out. I feel like nowadays a lot of people have their bachelor's degree, but not as many take the extra step to get their MBA. So highly encourage that. And so, Edison very much does promote work-life balance. I get 13 paid holidays off, 6 weeks paid vacation. I work from home 4 days a week, go into the office 1 day a week, and I get every other Friday off. So again, still put that all to my degree. I wasn't able to get this opportunity without having my degree. So was going to try to open it to the audience and ask you what you think work-life balance is. What does it mean to you?
I think before we get started, we have to ask the question, are they hiring? Because that sounds pretty cool. How do we sign up for that? We're crying out loud. I want some of that. Damn.
Amen. That's exactly what I was thinking. I don't know if you guys saw my facial expressions, but I was like, whoa, 6 weeks of paid vacation a year. That's incredible. Wow, you're starting to sound like a European situation. They have those amazing holidays. And so that's great for you. It's amazing, Christine.
I'm thinking about 4 days at home in my jammies, pretending I'm working. That's what I'm thinking. Be wrong. Maybe wrong.
So I have a question. How are you, since you mentioned that you're a mother, do you have your children with you when you work at home, or are you still using daycare or babysitting?
Got it. When COVID first happened and we were working remote, we still had a babysitter, just because it depends how old your kids are. I feel like if you're able to be productive at home, but mine were young. Now they go to school, so they're gone most of the day. So I don't have them at home with me while I'm working. So they go to school. I take them to school in the morning, and then my babysitter is my mother-in-law. So that's another perk. So then she picks them up from school, watches them till 4 when we get off. And then,
That's awesome. And so do you feel like are you able to disconnect being at home? How do you do that, right? Because you work at home and then you're living at home and your family there. How are you able to create that disconnect between work and home life?
Got it. Yeah, that was one of the topics that I had, is that working remote, again, a lot of the impression is that, yeah, I'm in my pajamas. I am in my pajamas, but that you just, kind of do whatever you want. You trickle in work here and there. So when it first shifted to now, I did go in the office 5 days a week. And now that I was working from home 5 days a week, it did take a lot of adjustment. I actually found myself working more when I was working from home, because I had easy access to my company computer, my cell phone. It was easy to work late because it was like just from home. I didn't have to commute. I didn't have to get ready. So it took probably a good 6 or 7 months to actually adjust and figure out what my work-life balance was, because I actually found myself working more from when I was home than at the office. Before, when you leave the office, you're done for the day, you're gone, you're out. But now when you're home, it was hard to say no and not do the extra assignments, because I could do it from home in my pajamas. So
only you have to be prepared from the waist up, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, Zoom attire. Exactly. So question for you, so you've adapted, because I remember too, when we went remote on campus, we started teaching remote, we were off campus. So similar situations, and it did take a while for us to acclimate to. So having done it for a while, better working at home, or do you wish you could go back to the office?
No, I love it. So I go into the office 1 day a week, which is nice, because then I get that collaboration with my team. We have our team meetings. I'm able to, engage with humans. But then the other 4 days working from home, I do enjoy it. Again, I think it does help promote work-life balance for myself, because I'm not commuting. I don't have to get ready every morning. So that probably gives me back 2 hours a day. I can run down and do my laundry on my lunch break if need be. So I don't feel as, stressed with the house chores if I could squeeze them in, on breaks here and there. So I personally enjoy it. Some people don't like it and they're dying to go back to the office, and they actually go to the office every day, even though it's not required. So everyone's a little different.
So you have that flexibility, at least at Edison, you have the flexibility to do that. How has Edison changed with regards to how it manages work or workflow or the employees? Because if some are coming in, some are staying home, how does that work out? Have they changed how they address these issues?
Yeah, they changed a lot. But prior to COVID, there was a lot of teams and groups that were requesting to work remote, and it was a hard no. We don't have the technology to support that. We will never be productive. There was just, the answers were always no. And then once were forced to work from home, they shifted really quickly. And now that COVID has kind of lifted a lot of its restrictions, they could have us go in 5 days a week, but they actually found us being more productive working from home. And that's why I only go in 1 day a week now, as opposed to 5, is because they found out that the employees were happier, we were being productive, we were meeting our milestones. And so there always are those employees that aren't working from home, they're nowhere to be found. And so those are addressed individually for those people. But we do have different technologies. We have, Microsoft Teams. So when you're online, it shows that you're green. If you're away, it'll show, I've been away for 6 hours. And so that's a red flag for the manager, like, hey, you're supposed to be working. Where are you? So we do have ways to track productivity for employees that way.
Got it. Okay, Miss Rochelle has a question. Rochelle, what did you need to know?
Well, she was asking about work-life balance, but mine, I think, is more chaotic work life. That's just how I live, I guess. My kids are older now. They're 18 and 21. And, we don't have any more Girl Scouts. We don't have sports. They're both going into college. And it was like I had a hole in my life now. So that's why I decided to go back to Cal State, of course. And I graduated with my BSN there. So yeah, I love the school also. And I love being there. I'm so happy to be back. And I think that's my work-life balance, is just when I'm the happiest.
A question for you, Christine. Has your perception of work-life balance changed since working from home, or did it stay the same?
I've always been big on work-life balance, but after working from home, I realized that I probably didn't utilize it as much as I could, if that makes sense. But sorry, I'm trying to think how to word it, but working from home has allowed me to do more things that I wouldn't have been able to just time-wise. I'm coaching both of my kids' soccer teams where, you know, getting off of work, it's literally computer off, walk downstairs. So I'm able to get downstairs, get them to practice. Whereas before, if I was in the office, it'd be a lot more challenging. I'd either have to leave work early, get home, I'm too tired. So, yeah, that's how I think it has shifted. I thought I had a good work-life balance, but now that I'm working from home and I'm able to do so much more, maybe I wasn't as balanced as I thought I was.
You had to practice first, right? You only thought about it when it started, but now you've had some time to do it, so you understand what that is. Fun fact, I just learned this a couple of weeks ago at an HR summit that workers' comp claims for folks who work at home are up significantly. How does that happen? That's a true story, though. I know everybody's making faces like, what? No, I didn't make that up. That's the real story. Workers' comp claims are up. And I wonder, why would you be covered under workers' comp if you tripped over your dog? I don't understand.
Wow.
But so I too remember having that flexibility of shutting off the computer and just going downstairs and ta-da, I'm home. I really like that. I have to agree with you, and no more drive time. How has the family life? I'm going to guess that it's improved because you're accessible now. You're more of a mom. You get to interact. Has that improved also? So that'd be part of the work life. Has that improved?
Yeah, definitely. I get more time with them. I'm surprised they haven't barged in the room right now in the background. Like anytime it's summer break or break from school, I'll be in meetings on work and they're dancing in the background, and it's just become part of our culture now. Like before, when COVID first happened, it's like, you know, get the kids away, like I'm in a meeting, and now it's actually kind of fun and funny when the kids pop in. So hi. Speaking of.
That was so cute. Right on cue. Right on cue.
Yeah.
We like that. We like that.
Cute. I have a quick question for you. Do you have any specific tips or tricks for how to disconnect from work since you are at home? Because, you know, I relate to that. It's very easy. We telecommute in our office, and the days that I'm home, I find that I just keep working. Sometimes it just keeps going. It's hard to turn it off because it's, you know, right there, you're already home. And so what are the tips and tricks you use to help you do that?
Got it. I'm realistic with my expectations. I set boundaries as far as like what I am and not going to do. And then, yeah, I just say to myself, okay, I'm off of work. I'm done. I don't even take a peek at the phone, at the computer, because once you see it, it's hard to unsee it. And if it's something you could take care of, you just want to do it. But I actually have been really good with setting boundaries, but I'm at a position where I'm happy where I'm at in my career. So I'm not trying to like overachieve to move up. So it's easy for me to say no. Sometimes it's not as easy when you're trying to get to that next step and feel like you always have to go above and beyond. But I'm pretty, my team pretty much knows at 4 o'clock I'm offline, so leave me alone. I set things on my calendar during lunch because, you know, people try to do lunch meetings, late hour meetings, but I think it's just internally yourself, you have to set goals of what you're okay with and not okay with, and stick to it.
So there's a little therapy for you, Molly. Just say no.
Yeah, exactly.
So here's a question. You seem to be pretty disciplined and organized in what you're doing. Do you ever become frustrated with your coworkers who maybe not as disciplined and focused as you are on the job?
All the time. Yeah.
Don't mention any names, but Bob, you're out of here. Come on. No, just kidding. But is that a challenge, and how do you address that? Because each of us have our own work dynamics, and especially if you're working in a team. When we were remote, MBA office was remote, I found that we were actually at least as efficient and typically more efficient than we were face-to-face. We found a way to adapt and did quite well. And the comments about, yeah, you do tend to work a little more, but it doesn't seem stress work. You just kind of do it, you know, but you do have to find a way to knock off. So how do you address those issues with teammates?
Yeah, It's well, I'm a manager, so I'm able to address those specifically with my direct reports and employees as far as setting expectations, because again, even though we're working remote, we're still expected to work. So there are some employees who, 3 days a week, I have a doctor's appointment, or, I have to do this for my kids. And, we want to be flexible, but you still have a job to get done. That was one of my bullet points too, as far as like, you still have a job to get done, and you have to at least meet the basic requirements of your job duties. It doesn't mean that because I work from home, I could spend 4 hours a day with my kids, and, you still have to do your basic expectations. And then I just make it a point to my team, like working remote is a privilege. It's not, mandated, or at any time Edison can say, this is over, you're coming in 5 days a week. So if you want to continue to take advantage and not be available, like, you're just going to ruin it for yourself. You're going to end up going in. So I just encourage them to be available, be responsive, because if not, then, we run the risk of not having the privilege of being able to work from home.
I'll ask you a question first, and then a question following up. Are you familiar with the term quiet quitting?
Yeah.
And is that an issue that you see at all? Do you see some folks quiet quitting?
I do in some departments. I'm hoping that's not our department, but I think, every company, not just Edison, there's, the work continues to grow and the resources don't. So at that point, people aren't willing to go above and beyond. And to be honest, I don't blame them, but I do see it where people get burnt out. And so they're not as willing to raise their hand to go above and beyond anymore. So I do see that. Yeah.
Yeah. And quiet quitting, when it first was announced, it seemed something derogatory, but actually, I think the definition I prefer is that I'm going to work the hours I'm scheduled.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do the work I'm scheduled to do. Yeah. I don't think that sounds bad. That's what we signed up for, wasn't it? I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So what else is work-life balance? What else is important?
Yeah, I was going to open it to the audience because I just wanted to emphasize too that work-life balance is different for everybody. There's no specific definition of this is what it means, because everybody has different commitments in their life. So, for some people, it could be having a flexible work schedule. So even though you're working the same amount of hours, being able to set your own hours, maybe your work-life balance. Some people could mean, never working on a Saturday, where other people working Saturdays is better for them because for reasons X, Y, Z. So just wanted to emphasize that everybody has their own work-life balance of what works for them and what fits their lifestyle.
So I know that one thing that happened when we all went home is we all tend to be more sedentary than we used to be. Not a lot of walking around, we just became big blobs sitting in a chair. How do you stay focused with your, say, health and fitness? How is that? Or have you had to make any adjustments to fit the work-life balance?
Yeah, personally, I've had more time to work out. That the time that I used to use in the morning to get ready and commute, I actually work out at that time. So that's been great, but that's all I do. I hardly move. I never get my steps in. They say to do 10,000 steps a day. Like, I don't know how people do that. That's like walking forever. So I'm lucky if I get 3,000 steps in. So I know that is something that a lot of the workforce, they encourage you to get up, get out, walk around. And I encourage that too, which I should take my own advice, because I do the workouts, but I don't get the steps in, that's for sure.
Can you share any tips or advice for someone struggling to achieve a healthy work-life balance? I've fallen and I can't reach my beer. Can you help me?
Yeah, that was actually something I had as well. Again, like, I feel like it's within your control for the most part. It's really important to set boundaries. Once you've already kind of gotten that rut where you're working too much, it's hard just to snap your finger and get out of it. So I would first recommend like having a conversation with your boss or supervisor. If, your workload is too high, you can't keep up, you have commitments that you're missing because of work. That would be my my first thing. And hopefully you have a good supervisor and they're understanding and listening. A lot of times people are afraid to say no, but when you do, there's not many repercussions. Again, I don't want to give bad advice, but sometimes maybe your manager doesn't know that you're working the extra hours, or they don't know like the ask that they're giving you. So I always would encourage you to have that conversation. And then making sure you take your time off, you have your you time, and then do things that you enjoy. So maybe you're so burnt out from work on the weekends, you're just doing nothing, but I encourage you to do the things that make you happy, because maybe that'll help you feel better about, you know, your work-life balance and yourself. And then I guess my last thing, which I had to do, was look for a new career. So that maybe that's what you have to do if you are having those conversations and, you know, you're just at a company where they're not supportive of it and they're, you know, the expectations are too high and aren't reasonable, like that may end up having to be an option if you have to.
So does the work-life balance, and you're working for Edison, is the concept important to Edison? Meaning, is it important enough that they talk to you as a manager, they talk to their leadership teams and they say, hey, let's make sure that our folks are getting taken care of and they're taking care of themselves? Do they have those kinds of meetings, and what do those sound like?
Yeah, they do. There's so many groups and departments in Edison. So I would hope that these conversations are happening company-wide, but I know personally in our group, with that definitely is a conversation. They ask us as managers to be an example. If I'm telling my employees have good work-life balance, but I'm sending emails at 10 o'clock at night and Saturdays and Sundays, that's not, you know, that's giving them the impression that maybe that's what they need to do. So we do have those conversations. And in my group specifically, it's a productivity type group where we have to produce widget numbers. So, you know, from studies, it shows when employees are happy, they feel like they have a good work-life balance. It helps productivity. It helps with, you know, employee satisfaction. So that's definitely what we encourage, and our team at least, to have our employees be happy and only ask for rushes when it's really needed. I don't want people to, you know, because at Edison, we do have actual emergent work where, you know, there's safety involved. People don't have power. We have to get them up and running quickly. So there are times where we do ask to work the extra hours, but I will only ask of that when it's truly emergent work and it's going to be beneficial to our customers.
So during this period of time, have you found that you're any closer, or how's the relationship with your direct reports? How has that changed or improved?
It was a little challenging when it was 100% remote. I got this position during the time where we were 100% remote. So building relationships with people when you've never met them before in person can be a little bit challenging. I'm very much an extrovert and will talk to anybody. So that did help a little bit, because I wasn't shy to call my people, get them on camera. But I think it's now that we're in the office one day a week, it has helped, you know, with our relationships, being able to see each other, talk about our projects, you know, go to lunch together. So it has been good. And going in the office one day a week, I feel, has improved our relationships and team building for sure. Yeah.
I always enjoy meeting people for the first time that I've only met on Zoom and discovering, holy crap, you're taller, you're shorter than I thought you were. On Zoom, you know, you fill up the screen. I have no concept of you as a person, a real person. So I just have this face that I'm dealing with, right? But,
I'm only 5 foot tall, so I was always like, oh, I thought you'd be a lot taller. I'm like, thanks, I know. So
we take the long shot. That's what we do.
Yeah, exactly.
Excellent. Any questions coming out of our audience in attendance here? Please don't be shy.
I have a quick question. I know that there are some I think we've had this conversation here in the US, but also there are some countries in Europe that are actively looking at instituting a 4-day work week, Monday through Thursday, and wondering what your thoughts are on that, and if you think that's realistic, and if you think the people could accomplish the same amount of work in 4 days.
Got it. Would it be like 4 10s? So they're still doing 40 hours, or would it be just 4 in general?
Or for 8 to 5s, or, you know, similar.
Yeah, I think the the happier your employees are, the more productive. If you're cutting hours out of the week, maybe you wouldn't get as much work done. But like for me, having every other Friday off, it's called like the 480 schedule. And there's not a lot of groups at Edison that have it. I think our department does, which is a large department, but it's not company wide. And so there were a lot of, and it's new, that's been implemented. And so there were a lot of eyes on our group to see if we were being productive. We're still working 80 hours every 2 weeks, but it's 9-hour days instead of, 8-hour days. And it did take some adjusting to. When it first got rolled out and I got put on the schedule, I did find myself falling behind because you're used to having that extra day. And when it wasn't there and then working 9 hours, it just took a little bit of adjusting. So I think anything could be successful if you have a plan and you adjust. And I always would promote that work style. If culturally we could get there, I think that would be great for everyone. So
I'm not sure I agree. I mean, you try to go someplace, nobody's ever there.
True.
I want people, I want to see faces. I don't, the remote thing makes me crazy. But how do you guys keep track of time, and how, as a supervisor, because again, another HR factoid, wage and hour lawsuits are up significantly, and especially with the remote work environment, keeping track, because employees are still required, take those breaks, take those lunches, say to California, blah, blah, blah. How do you guys keep track of that? Or do you? You can fib if you want. You can make it sound like you're perfect. It's okay. It's your show.
Yeah, well, at least at Edison, we have hourly and salary employees. So our salary employees don't necessarily need to be tracked. As long as you're getting your work turned in, the amount of hours that you're working isn't typically monitored. For our hourly employees, it should be monitored. So some managers are very strict, and it's like, send me an email when you get in, send me an email when you go to lunch, when you get back from lunch, and when you get home.
Oh,
personally,
my Lord.
Yeah, personally, I don't do that. I have,
thank God.
We have, maybe I'm supposed to be, I don't know, I don't want to get sued, but we have, but again, we have our Microsoft Teams. And so when our employees are online, their status pops up as green. And so I'll take a look here and there, but again, what which employees are working and not. I know it sounds silly because you can't see them, but how quickly they respond, when you call them, do they answer? Are they turning in their projects? I mean, once in a while, but the employees that aren't working, it's really easy to notice. And then at that time, it's easy to performance manage. So if I have a feeling my employee is not working, then I'll call them randomly. Do they answer? Or, hey, I need you to get on camera real quick to help me with this. Like, put him, let him, I know, I mean.
Oh my God.
You can do, because we've had other managers or situations where they'll answer from the car and they're like, oh no, I'm at my house. It's like, no, you're not, you're driving. And so, those are extreme measures. That's not all the time, but there's always some employees that are being taken advantage of the system. And yeah, that has to be addressed.
Have you fired anybody remote yet?
No, not yet. Luckily.
I would set that as a goal for myself in the next 2 weeks. If you can ping somebody, just to go ahead and nail one to the wall. Just makes a good feeling about that. Go ahead.
Yeah. It's really hard to get fired at Edison. So
oh, it's kind of like Cal State. I understand. Yeah.
Yeah. So you have to really build a case for years.
How about the mental part of it? Someone asked earlier about separating home from work, and you're really never, because that is one of the deals that happens on the mental health side of it, where you're never really away from work because it's just upstairs or down the hall. How do you make sure that you stay mentally healthy? And if you're being treated, we don't want to know about it. It's just
yeah, I have a doctor. Just kidding. But no, I at least at our job, we have an option where we can connect our email and our work line to our personal line, or we can have a separate device. I have a separate device, so that helps me, if I have all my emails coming to my personal phone, then it's really hard to disconnect. So that's one thing I do, is I have separate devices for work and non-work, just to help disconnect there. And then again, for for me, I do watch the clock, and I try to get off at a reasonable time. I have kids, so that's always an easy out. Like, hey, can't stay. Kids got, homework, they got this. So that's one way. Once I'm off work and I'm with my kids, they occupy all my time, and I'm pretty disconnected. So, but that's what I do. Have kids if you
have
want
kids.
to.
All right, Molly, there's your answer. All you need. And since Molly has an issue with that, perhaps you could babysit your children. So if you need to job them out, that might be an option for Molly.
I'm right down the street,
always
Molly. Right down
always
the street.
always finding solutions, Ernie. Always finding
I'm
solutions.
working for you. I'm working for you here. All you need is children. That's it. All right. I can't think of anything else to ask you because I'm all mentally fit now and I'm ready to go. So I can't wait. In a couple of weeks, we are going to be on 410s.
Are you?
Yes, we are, because we go to summer and we say they're 410s, but they're really more like 46s. But that's another question. So,
we lose our telecommuting. So we currently are allowed to telecommute 2 days a week. So we're 2 days off on off-site and 3 days on-site. But then they decided when we're going to a 410 schedule that we're completely removing telecommuting. They did a 1-year tester of this. So I think there's going to be an adjustment for all of us again, having to be in the office 4 days a week and then 10 hours.
Yeah.
I don't think we can stand each other that well. You know how some people stay married because they never see each other? That's this office. Right. So we work so well because we never see each other all at once. So that's
gonna get exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I always wonder, like, the company driver with that, because I mean, at least our company, we've saved so much money with, not having to lease buildings, the water bill, electricity bill, Edison pays for your miles when you commute. So, I mean, we were saving so much money with this, work from home option. So I would assume other companies save money too with, or maybe not, I don't know, but.
Yes, I think for us, they're wanting to make sure that the students are served. And so we're not just though we can do all of our jobs completely remote. And for the graduate students, our classes are well outside usually of normal working hours. So there's a disconnect there anyway. So most of our students aren't on campus when we're actually there. But the rest of the students are there. But there has been a larger push for hybrid and fully online classes and things like that. And so I think that we're not keeping up all the way with how the students are operating and when they're operating. And I don't know, management styles and things like that. So it was a good tester year. Hopefully they'll reinstitute it with the next academic year. I think that we've all been productive and able to have a greater work-life balance and things like that. I mean, I know it's super nice to be able to get up, answer my email, and then go take my kid to school and then come back and answer more email and do all of those things. And then, like you mentioned, do my laundry on the lunch break. So I'm not trying to cram it all in on Saturday with all the other things, grocery shopping and gymnastics and Girl Scouts and all of those other things. You have a little bit more of that flexibility in your time back, and you're still able to get all of your work done at the same time. So fingers crossed they bring it back.
Interesting statement about remote work. Employers report that the theft of toilet paper and office supplies is down significantly. That's just a thing,
Oh, wow.
For what it's worth.
Toilet paper, huh? Wow.
I'm just saying, I'm just saying. So Christine, are you married?
I am.
Okay, and so how has this impacted relationship with hubby? I hope you say it's amazing, marvelous, because now you're home, and I'm gonna imagine he does not work from home.
No, he does. He works for Edison as well. So we were side by side the first 6 months of COVID, our desks right next to each other, and we're like, no, we need a little space. So
So to prevent murder in the household, one of us has to relocate. I understand. My wife told me till death do us part, but lunch is not an option. So that's an interesting dynamic. So both of you work for the same company, separate divisions or what have you. What adjustments have you folks made? Just curiously, because that does perhaps in a positive way, but it kind of disrupts the household. I mean, before we go to work, we come home, we got that chaos. Now we're together all damn day. Like, oh my God. So that's why Kirsten and I only work together for a few days a week, you know, because we don't want any murders in MBA.
Nice. Yeah, I think having our own space, again, because at first when they said we were going to work remote, they said it was going to be for 3 weeks. So like literally, I think my desk, I got like an ironing board and I just set my laptop on because I was like, oh, it's only for a few weeks. I don't want to buy a desk and all this stuff. When it be just little. So yeah, he had like the desk in the bedroom, and then I just put like a little ironing board next to it, and we kind of did our thing. And then it was like, oh, it's going to be another 3 weeks. Oh, and then it just like kept extending. And so yeah, we're very close side by side, like in each other's business too much. So I relocated to one of the spare bedrooms set at my office. And so honestly, even though we work like across the hallway, there's some days that we won't talk for like 4, 5, 6 hours just because we're like isolated in our offices. And then we'll always try to do lunch together if we can, but it's actually made us like more outgoing. We are very much like homebodies. And now since we're home all the time on the weekends, we're like, oh, we should do this, we should do that. Whereas before you'd never caught us like step a foot out the house on the weekends. We never wanted to go anywhere because we were just so exhausted from being at work all day in the office.
So then this has been a booster then, a positive thing at least till now, you know, it's been a good thing. And it does, it's been an enrichment. That's awesome. So that's contributed well to the work-life balance. I mean, there's been no murders in the house, so you're happy about that. Nobody's going to jail. Yeah. That's good to know. Okay. That is excellent. And how about friends outside? I'm sure you folks have friends, or you know people who might be jealous that you're working at home, or perhaps they don't appreciate the work. Of course you're working. You're not appreciating the work you're doing. How do you talk about that a little bit?
I just let them talk, but yeah, that does happen. My family was the biggest. They're, you know, because I'm the only one in my family who's got my degree, and so they're like, oh, you know, Christine with the degree, with the good job, and I'm like, it just so happened. There's a lot of companies that are working remote, but yeah, they're always making comments about how I'm not working and whatnot. But I do work. I'll defend myself, but I just let them have their fun. But actually at Edison, there was a lot of tension because we have our field personnel, our crews who go out and do the work to ensure everybody has power. And they were very not happy about a lot of the office employees not having to be in, like, you know, we have to be at the office every day to make sure they have power, and you get to work from home in your pajamas. So that constantly is a battle. And again, we just have to explain to them. I don't think they understand. There's their pros and cons of their position versus ours. So they get, you know, unlimited overtime and all these other things where a lot of us are salary. So we work, you know, many hours at home, sit through meetings, and aren't compensated for it. So it has all of their pros and cons, and management addresses it. But yeah, there is some tension on the everyday office employees versus the hybrid employees.
That's interesting. And I didn't really think about that because from our perspective here at Cal State, all of us have similar situations, but at your work environment, not everybody gets that luxury, of course, of working at home. So that would create tensions with coworkers directly or indirectly. What a joy that must be. Oh my goodness.
And sometimes it leads to non-genuine intentions, I guess. Like when people are applying for positions, they're specifically looking for jobs where it's 100% remote and they don't have to go in. So they don't even really want the job or that, you know, interested in it, but they just want to work from home 24/7. So they'll apply, and kind of just sometimes could drive not the best candidate pool for some positions because it's not genuine.
Yeah, they're not looking for the position; they're looking for the home.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Is Edison, do you think this is long-term? As Kirsten mentioned, ours is sort of a test flight of the remote work. Do you see yourself working remote, or at least having some sort of a flexible schedule for a while?
Yeah, I think so. Right now I go in 1 day a week. I have a feeling that won't last forever. There's already been conversations as far as like, oh, maybe it should be 2, maybe it should be 3. So, but going back 5 days a week, I don't know that will happen, at least for my department or group. So right now, the ones that they're having go in more frequently are ones that work specifically with customers or any type of production issues. If there's groups that aren't, producing, then they're, assuming it's because they're at home and not being held accountable, and they'll make them come in. But can I get a snack?
So, question, do you imagine that the work from home thing will impact how people are compensated? Like, oh, you're working from home, so it's different, so maybe we shouldn't pay you as much. Or maybe it would go the other way. How do you see any adjustments in compensation one way or the other for the remote work?
No, I don't think so. At least at our company, we do like market comparisons. So what, like what PG&E and what SDG&E is paying their employees, and we reference them as far as compensation. So I don't think they account for that. I hope they don't, but maybe one day they would. But
I don't know. I know that from what I understand, there are employees who prefer remote work and they're looking for remote work. So I guess now we know where to go look for remote work at Edison. Yeah,
all of our postings online, they'll tell you whether it's like what the work schedule is. And if it's hybrid, that means you work from home some days, go to the office some days. If it says remote, then you're 100% remote. Sometimes if it says on-site, that means you're on-site 5 days a week. So
yeah. So do you suppose you could ever go back to the way it was? Just curious. We already know you love it, but could you, if they decided, all right, you got to come back 5 days, 44, whatever hours you're coming back, we're not going to stop with that. How would that shift your work-life balance?
It would shift it a lot, because my shift starts at 6 o'clock in the morning, and then at 7 o'clock I go run my kids to school. So I wouldn't be able to take my kids to school in the morning. I don't know if I'd be able to coach anymore, because I wouldn't have the energy after being at the office all day. I'd have to be really diligent on the weekends with all my chores, because I couldn't get them done during the week. So I think it'd be extremely impactful if I had to go back.
Yeah, it could be detrimental to it could be detrimental to outcome or output at work too. I can see that. So from the employer side, employers have to be paying attention to, hey, how's the morale, generally speaking, of our workers working from home? Some are going to do it better than others. If we disrupt this, because see, once you take a benefit away and your life is shifted now, this is how I do it, right? And a change in that's going to be a problem. So, geez, I hope that they're paying attention to those sorts of things.
Yeah. I always keep in the back of my mind that this is a privilege and I'm not entitled to it. So I always, if they do say come back 5 days a week, I'm always ready for that to happen.
Wow, you said that with a straight face too. I'm proud of you.
I know. Well, some people are extremely entitled as far as even going in 1 day a week, and they're like, I just can't believe that, you're making me come in 1 day a week. And I'm like, come on, guys, it could be a lot worse. So there's people that are like even upset about that. So I'm like, believe me, be happy about 1 day a week.
What do you do if, let's say, somebody gets put on a remote situation and they discover that this isn't working for me? What would you suggest? I mean, obviously go back to work, but work-life balance, like I said, if we change your schedule, your work-life balance is going to go sideways. So what's the advice to somebody who discovers that, what, it's not quite working out the way? We're not all Christine. We can't all be that way. So what do you suggest? Maybe you have workers.
If they're working remote and they're not feeling it?
Yeah, they're not feeling it. Should they change companies, change jobs, show up to work more often? So you didn't think about this, did you? You didn't think.
No. So, again, there are people, like I have an employee who goes to the office every day. He lives in a, I think, 2-bedroom apartment with his 4 kids, and it is it's too crazy at home for him. So he goes in every day. He's able to get more work done, and that's his work-life balance is, disconnecting. So again, that at least at our company, that's an option. You could go in if you want to, even though you're not required. And so some people do that. So
yeah, for him, I'm sure that's a sanity check. If he has to spend all day at home with kids, he's just gonna it's gonna work out for him.
Yeah.
Any other questions from our listening audience? Ms. Rochelle, you've been far too quiet, and I see your smiling face there. You must have something. Do you work remote, Rochelle?
I'm a nurse, so no, I can't.
Why? Did they kill teledoc? You can't do teledoc?
I could, but yeah, I don't know that I would enjoy that.
No. So is work remote? Is that something that let's imagine, right? That the situation was different and it could be facilitated. Is that something that's attractive to you at all?
I don't think so. When my kids were born, I spent 6 months at home with them, and that was enough time with me. So, I was ready to go back to work with adult life and adult conversation. So I enjoyed my time with them. But like I said, now they're older, so they're pretty much not even here. So I'd be by myself. So
That's okay. Well, all right. So maybe we got to keep you at work so the kids keep living.
yeah.
I know. I feel like we should be interviewing you. You probably have the craziest hours of us all as a nurse. How do you stay sane and get your work-life balance with your crazy hours?
So right now I'm still night shift. I think I'm going to days June 19th. So I'm really looking forward to a normal life again. I've been on nights for 3 years. So yes, I work from 9:30 to 7:30, 4 days in a row. So I start tonight and I'll finish Sunday, but my kids are older. So my high schooler who's a senior gets herself off to school. I do get a lot of tardy notices from her, but at least she gets there. And then my oldest is finishing junior college at RCC. And she likes being online. I think that gives her a lot of time. Her first 2 years were driving back and forth to RCC for practice for water polo and trying to do school. So I think now that water polo is done and she's at home, so her work life is balanced also. So, and then really with them being older, we just went on 2 huge vacations in January and March, and we had a blast. And that just, to me, to be able to spend time with them like that, because they're older, that keeps me sane. And knowing that when I go to work, I can work to pay for the next vacation, I'm good.
Well, it's good that you bring them home with you when you're returning.
Yes. Well, they would have loved to stay in New York, but I didn't want them. They're not staying in New York without me.
Oh. Okay. Any final words of wisdom with regards to work life, Christine? How important is it? You've emphasized that you think it's important, but why?
Again, I think it's really important just for your own self-well-being. There's a lot of positive effects from having a work-life balance, less stress, lower risk of burnout, and again, just greater sense of well-being. My dad always told me, nobody ever said on their deathbed, I wish I would have worked more. And that just resonated with me. A lot of people look back and they're, not looking back and saying like, oh, I should have worked that Saturday to get the project out. Everyone's looking back saying like, I should have spent more time with my family, with my mom, with my dad, with my brother and my sister. So I always keep that at my heart, that my family is the most important. I'll always get my work done that I say I'm going to get done at work, but my kids always come first, and my husband. But yeah.
I like it. I like it a lot. So if we're not, if we don't feel like we're getting, how do we know we're not in balance? I mean, I don't know that we ask that. I mean, it's easy to say you should have work-life balance, but how do we know that we're not? And I mean, perhaps that's obvious, but what's your perspective on that?
Yeah, again, I think it's different for everyone. I feel like if you're happy, do you have time to do the things that you enjoy doing? And if you don't, and that's because of work, to me, that means you don't have a work-life balance. So if I'm going to go to the gym every day after work and now I'm not going because I'm still working or I'm missing events at my, important events that my kids are having because of work, to me, that means I'm out of balance. I don't want to miss anything that has to do with my family because of work.
Got it. Rochelle, question?
Yeah, I agree with that. There's times when I'm actually like, I'll schedule an appointment in the middle of my sleep or at the beginning of sleep. And by the time I get to work and it's 6 o'clock the next morning, you can find me asleep at my computer. And luckily I can hear the door when people come in. So I wake up in time. I may not look like I was awake, but I wake up in time. But I can tell when my balance is not correct. And I can tell when there's times when I've scheduled nothing, I get a good amount of sleep, and I'm a happy camper.
Sleep. It's oftentimes underrated, right? People don't get enough sleep, and I don't know. The old adage of sleep when you're dead, that's not very good. Yeah, that's not happening. All right, any other questions from our audience? If not, Ms. Kirsten, I'm going to hand it over to you.
I just want to thank you, Christine, for your time and your insights. It was very helpful for the discussion and everything like that, just to kind of see that we're not alone in the things that we've tried and done, especially when we've been telecommuting. And, it's not it is unique for every person, but there are things that can unite us, and, tips that we can take back to our own daily lives to hopefully institute more rigorous boundaries and help along the way of creating that better work-life balance, because it's something that you always have to work for every day, right? So thank you for your time, and we want to thank everyone for joining us today, and wish everyone a wonderful evening, and we'll see you back next year for our new Alumni Speaker Series.
Can I do one thing before we go? Can I do a shameless plug for my podcast? Is that okay?
Yes.
Oh, awesome. All right. Well, let me see if I can do this real quick before I carry off into. No, I don't have the screen for that. Okay. So, folks that are remaining on this particular presentation, the Silver's Connection podcast will be starting back up on April 24th. We're going to start recording on that, and so we are looking for ideas and subject matter that you would be interested. Right now, we have a total of no listeners because the Silver's Connection podcast was a COVID creation. And when we brought it back to Cal State told me to go away. We didn't air it anymore. Well, now they're saying, hey, would you bring Silver's Connection to Coyote Radio? So we'll be recording at Coyote Radio. It's the recorded live segment playing on Friday. So what I'm looking for you is, what would you be interested in? What would you want to hear about? What can I talk about? Do you have any questions? We're going to be doing things like similar to the work-life balance question, personalities, strengths and weaknesses, career advice, snarky comments. I have a co-host, an undergrad student named Nathan Sandoval. So you've got the young guy and the old guy going at it, coming from two different perspectives. So things that you would be interested in as grad students, imagining that you would listen to the podcast. So please email Kirsten or myself with any ideas, comments, or concerns, because it's going to happen, and I'd like you to be involved in that. So, all right, I'm done. I'm finished.
Wonderful.